super excited to go over some altcoin swing trading strategies, some Bitmex trading strategies, as well as some long-term investing strategies. And the reason I am choosing to make this video is I woke up today, and if you guys are a part of our Discord premium group, the link is in the description below where we send all of our signals. We had over 50% gains just with our signals over the weekend for altcoins. And then on the weekend, we had over 50% gains just with our Bitmex signals alone. So I wanted to go over how to best utilize this bull market in 2019 because it's very different from what we saw in 2017. If you guys have been keeping up with our videos, you guys know that this is a lot more of a smarter market. So we're going to look at Bitcoin's technical analysis, move on into these trading strategies, and then cover some headlines, including record levels of hash power right now for Bitcoin, as well as some possible altcoins that may see high price action movement over the next few months, because not every altcoin is seeing action. If you look at some of these coins like Litecoin BTC or Ethereum BTC, you can see on a daily chart or on the weekly chart, we're seeing a lot less action than some of these other coins like BTT, where we had over 40% gains from our signal over the weekend. And so we're going to talk about which coins to watch, as well as the best trading strategies to utilize during this bull market, and then take some audience questions and look at altcoin analysis to see if we can find some other altcoins that potentially have amazing price movements ahead. So first and foremost, before we start with our live audience, I see we already have Bernard on. Good to have you guys. Make sure to like this video if you guys enjoy this type of content, but I want to cover this Bitcoin technical analysis and talk about what we are seeing here and what happened over the weekend. If you guys were watching last week, we were watching this $13,500 resistance level, and you can see we never broke that daily candlestick above that level, which I explained that second scenario that was going to occur where we see downside and a potential consolidation zone occur where now altcoins can start to move back up. And so that scenario 2 that we talked about from our last video is exactly what's happening right now. We saw this resistance, we saw this pullback back down to the support of around 10,600. We saw that pop right back up, and this was a perfect ABC correction. When looking at this 4 hour, you can see we have this A, B, C, and this fourth and final wave, hopefully here being this D, now allowing us to go above this accumulation zone from 9,800 to 10,400 towards this consolidation zone. And this is really the zone that we want to see Bitcoin consolidate over the next few days or over the next week or two, for us to start seeing altcoins come in to the equation and start to see major gains with these altcoins. Because if you look at coin market cap, one thing I want you guys to realize is the switch here, where now when we look at this chart, while Bitcoin is down, all of these altcoins are up in Satoshi value. So we're going to start to see this back and forth switch over and over again. And that's one thing you definitely have to pay attention to when successfully trading this market. So understanding that we may see this consolidation zone occur for the next few days, we want to start looking at where the altcoins and possible opportunities are going to be. Now, one thing I want to show you guys to give you a little bit of confidence on this TA that I've done here is looking at the total cryptocurrency market cap chart as well on a weekly, because as you can see, it's a little bit of a better market structure that we're seeing here, where we now see on this weekly, this drop right down to this known resistance level that was previous support. And if we pull up this daily, you can probably see it a lot better. So you've got this level here that acted as support once, twice, 3 times, then acted as resistance in the past, acted as resistance here. And as we all know, previous resistance typically means that that's going to be future support. And that's exactly where we found support on the total cryptocurrency market cap chart. So that $280 billion market cap is really the prime area of support right now for us to expect some of these coins to start seeing higher price movements, being that we went ahead and saw this correction straight to that known support previous resistance level. So this, in my opinion, is showing perfect market structure for us to start seeing altcoin opportunities and swing trades. And right now, my team of analysts and I are watching about 50 plus altcoins. And for those of you that are in our premium group, we will be sending all of those signals out on a daily basis. And if you're not, the link is in the description below. But I do want to talk about how to properly trade some of these altcoin swing trades because the majority of it can be automated utilizing tools like 3 commas. If you guys are not aware of that, it's part of our course. When you join our premium group, we talk about 3 commas. It's a tool that allows you to set up trailing take profits, trailing stop losses, as well as multiple targets, multiple entries, and that's how you want to trade these altcoin swings. And so first and foremost, let's pull up BTC because once again, this is a coin I've talked about since the beginning of this year as a long-term hold, because not every coin in this new bull market, I want you guys to realize this, not every coin is going to see price action to the upside, because this investor market is a lot smarter. And so when we look at BTT, for example, you can see this was a very easy trade opportunity because it hit all-time lows here where we saw this previous bottom form at 9 Satoshis. That's why we sent out that signal as an entry from 9 to 11 Satoshis. And you can see with a coin like this, where it's only valued at 9 Satoshis and now it's at 13 Satoshis, when we see any price action, we're going to see major gains. As you can see with this, we saw over 60% gains just in the last couple of days from this movement. And that means that whatever you put into BTT, instead of having in Bitcoin, you would have gained 60% more Bitcoin for having your capital in this trade. And so you have to understand when we're swing trading these altcoins, we're looking for these great opportunities where market structure is showing that there's most likely going to see price action to the upside. And so a lot of these coins are not necessarily seeing as much strength as we are from other altcoins. For example, BNB, this was another signal we posted. This was a very strong pullback to the upside, over 23% over the last couple of days. But then when you look at some other charts like Ethereum and Litecoin, you're not necessarily seeing the best market structure. And I want to talk a little bit about this because you have to understand that a lot of these coins are outdated. Ethereum was coded by an 18-year-old Vitalik Buterin almost a decade ago, right? And so is that going to be the best place to invest your money? I don't necessarily think so. And we're going to talk about some articles that will also prove this fact. Like, for example, if you look at this, VeChain Foundation buys back 25 million of VET coins. And when you look into this article, you can see it says the buyback is in celebration of the 12-month anniversary of the VeChain mainnet when it made the move from being an Ethereum-based token, right? So this isn't something that we're only seeing with VeChain. This happened with Tron as well. You can see this is becoming a bit of a trend recently. Just last week, Tron 2 celebrated its independence from Ethereum by buying back 20 million of its own currency. So now we're starting to see a shift in dynamics to this market. And I think the biggest keyword here is trend, right? Because as an investor, you want to follow trends, but you want to be a part of the trend before it becomes mainstream. And now that we're starting to see this trend where we're seeing a lot of these companies leaving Ethereum, then it should make you realize that Ethereum's use case is just not there as it was in 2017 when it was raising millions and millions, and at the time, billions of dollars in initial coin offerings. And right now we're not necessarily seeing that type of use case, and we're seeing some of these other de-application platforms like Tron and VeChain move away from the Ethereum blockchain. And it's not like Litecoin where, you know, the founder of Litecoin, Charlie Lee, sold all of his Litecoin when it hit a peak in 2017. No, we're seeing companies take a different approach like Tron and like VeChain where they're like, hey, we're going to start buying back our coins, or like BNB, we're going to start burning coins, right? Those are the companies, those are the altcoins that you want to start watching, because this new cycle, in my opinion, what's going to happen is not every altcoin is necessarily going to see the type of upside as some other ones. And another chart here that can prove that statement is looking at dominance here. At the start of the year, Bitcoin was at 41% dominance, while right now it's over 60%. And when that happened, you can see coins like Ethereum went from 17%, where they're currently at 10% dominance, lost a lot of dominance. And then when you look at some of these other coins, when you look at others, right? This last one right here, that gray one, if you see all the way in the bottom where it says 22% at the start of the year, that's every cryptocurrency past the top 10. Started the year at 22% dominance, and right now is currently at 17% dominance. So not as much of a drop as Ethereum, but definitely a drop. So what that shows you, and what that shows me as an analyst, is that we have to be fundamentally sound when investing in these altcoins. You can't just go into these altcoins based on what they did in 2017. And that's why I think it's really important to get your information from the right resource. So I hope you guys are getting some value from this so far. Bernard, Crypto Rocker, Robert, and John Andres all in the house. Welcome to the live stream. Make sure to like this video if you guys like these type of videos where we're talking about trading strategies. I want to make sure that you guys get the best type of content. But you can see with Litecoin, yes, we saw this pop back up, but now we're hitting a previous support, which could now lead us to resistance. So it's not as appetizing and as attractive as a chart like BTT, where there's not necessarily that much resistance as it starts to head back up in Satoshi value. So that's the biggest thing when it comes to altcoins, I think, in this 2019 bull market in comparison to 2017. You want to be sure that you're investing in the right coins. And so if you guys are a part of our premium group, I actually sent out under Crypto Signals today a list of about 25 to 30 coins that I believe, based on their previous 2019 performance, will have great performance in 2019. So make sure to check that out if you guys are a part of that. But to move forward and talk a little bit about another big opportunity in this market right now, and that's going to be Bitmex trading and leverage trading in this market, because there's a lot of really obvious points to enter and exit trades here when looking at leverage trades in this market. And there's so much price action and volatility that it gives you such a great opportunity to make capital and make exponential gains on smaller accounts. So when you look at our premium signals, you can see yesterday alone, we had a Bitcoin long signal. We hit all 5 targets here, leading us to over 20% gains on 5x leverage, or just 4% gains if you were to trade those with no leverage. And I'm going to kind of go through that exact trade with you to talk about why this was such an obvious trade and why we're going to see a lot more of these quote unquote obvious trades in this market. Now, what's actually forming right now is very interesting. We're going to see if we can actually prop back up into this consolidation zone right now. You can see we dropped into that accumulation zone. We saw price action to the upside. So right now, if you guys are looking at this market short term, we want to see that break past 10,600 into that consolidation zone right now. And that's really what we're watching here with Bitcoin. And I don't believe that's going to be an issue based upon the bullish market action that we've seen here over the past few weeks. And so let me go ahead and pull up my indicators here one more time and talk a little bit about the Bitcoin Bitmex opportunities here. So understand this, market structure is showing here that we have consolidation around that 10,400, that $11,200 range. Now, when we saw Bitcoin drop all the way back from this resistance down to this known support and then start to head back up and see another downside, this right here was the completion of the ABC correction. And in my opinion, this right here was such an obvious trade, and this is a huge opportunity in this market. So this is where we called our entry for our Bitcoin long yesterday. And it was because we headed towards these known levels where in the past, these wicks resulted in very, very nice gains here. You can see that 6% gain from that wick in this consolidation zone. And so as we start to see Bitcoin consolidate, there are going to be a lot more of these Bitmex opportunities. I'll give you an example. If we start to see this consolidation, we may see this type of price action, right? We might see this up and down. We might see it go a little bit like that, right? And see, the best opportunities here are going to be the opportunities where we know in the past, like right here, this would be a good long entry, because yesterday, when we entered that long, immediately we saw that 4% upside where we were able to take over 20% gains on 5x leverage from a very low risk leverage trade, being the fact that we were heading towards these known consolidation levels. So the other aspect of trading this market is going to be the leverage side. And when you're working with smaller accounts, leverage trades could really allow you to exponentially multiply these accounts fast without necessarily having to wait for those large swing trades. But when you're trading larger capital, I would highly recommend being a lot less risky with your capital and then utilizing more of those one-to-one trading ratios with typical Binance trades and swing trades. So hopefully that has answered some of your questions. I will answer some trading questions here in the chat if you guys do have any questions here. Joshua says, thanks for your hard work, sir. You were very welcome here. Mark D says, time to short Bitcoin, looking for 9,200. Let me talk about this real quick. This has to do with Bitmex trading. I would never short a trending bull market. So understand right now, we're still in this bull market. We're still trending up. There's no reason to ever short a long or a bull market trend. So I even told all of my analysts, I said, there are no shorts that can be called right now in this bull market. It's the most dangerous way to leverage trade, in my opinion. So I would not be shorting a bull market until we have confirmation that we're seeing a correction, that we're back in a bear phase. That's when we can possibly start shorting. But right now would not be the time to short, in my opinion. So that's the thing with Bitmex signals, in my opinion, that make them easy. It's the fact that as long as you follow the long-term trend, yes, there may not be as much trading opportunities as there are for crypto swing trades, but when there are opportunities in a bull trend, they're pretty obvious. And so we can pretty much repeat that over and over again if we were to look at any of these consolidation zones, right? Right here, bam, support, resistance, drop back down. We knew this was a good entry for long, and then you saw those gains to the upside. So over and over again, you can take advantage of those swings and those small pieces of volatility in this market. And if you guys are part of the premium group, we will keep you guys up to date on all of those. And then to move on to long-term investors in this market, I'm not going to stay too long on that, but understand that overall, this market in a fundamental sense as a long-term investor is a good market to start dollar cost averaging a position in. And when dollar cost averaging a position as a long-term investor, you want to take advantage of these huge pullbacks, and you also want to take advantage of rebalancing your portfolio. For example, when Bitcoin hits these highs at these resistance levels, it might be a good time to then move your capital and rebalance that into altcoins, or tether them for you to then go ahead and re-enter at a lower price, or go ahead and trade the other side of the market, which in this case would be the altcoin market. So that's the long-term perspective. And to move on and talk a little bit about some fundamentals that really matter here. Confirmed transactions per day. This is very interesting. I want you guys to realize this. This is a year chart of a 2-year chart of confirmed transactions per day. So this shows you what happened here with that $20,000 Bitcoin during that 2017 bull market. You can see we only stayed above that 350,000 transaction per day level for only a short amount of time. Whereas right now with this bull market, we are finding good support at these higher levels of over 350,000 transactions per second. And so if you were to ask me a question right now and say, hey, Naeem, do you see this market as stronger than what we saw in 2017? I would say 100% absolutely yes, especially with all of the new companies, with all of the new fundamental aspects of this market, where you have Facebook announcing its new coin, you have BitTorrent launching its testnet here July 1st, which we'll talk about in just a sec. I think it's a lot stronger of a market, and that's proven itself here with the fundamentals. So hopefully you guys enjoyed some of that analysis. I do want to talk about this very important article here, and then we'll go into some Q&A and take some analysis, some altcoin from the audience, from the live audience, and we can start doing some of those analysis. But here's another awesome article here showing us very good fundamentals for Bitcoin. Record levels of hash power shows trust in Bitcoin has never been higher. You can see here it says the hash rate of Bitcoin hit 68 million terahash on June 29th, an all-time high for the Bitcoin network. The Bitcoin hash rate has been on an upward trend since mid-December, which is pretty much when we started to see this bull market start, and has seen a 113% increase from that point. Why is that important? Well, that's showing you that we have a record number of hash power mining Bitcoin right now, which is showing a lot of trust in this as an asset that is a storage of value. And if you guys know right now, the market in the overall world economy right now is shifting quite a bit as we're starting to see fiat currency hit lows, and then coins or assets and storages of value like gold hit these highs. If we pull up the gold chart here, let's pull up ZAO USD, for example, you can see broke this long time resistance and now seeing a little bit of a pullback. And what would be very interesting is for us to now find this resistance, as we talked about, as now support for gold. And that's going to prove that not is it just Bitcoin that's going to start to see bullish action as we start to head towards the latter part of 2019, but we're also going to see that with some of these other assets like gold that are limited in quantity and have those intrinsic properties that make them valuable. So do you guys agree with me or disagree, by the way, about the whole world economy perspective of fiat currency starting to see a decline of liquidity, and more of these storage of value assets like gold and Bitcoin starting to see more and more confidence with investors' capital. Do you guys agree that that's going to be a continued trend as we hit the latter part of 2019? I'd love to hear your comments in the live chat, yes or no here. Let's see. Johnny says, have you ever currently or ever been paid to promote BTT? No, not at all. The reason BTT for me is a long-term hold is because it has a lot of aspects to it similar to the Facebook coin. And I'll talk about why. So understand this. For us to see any sort of confidence in this market, we need to see use case. So we're looking for the coins that have the potential for the most use case. Well, the coins that are going to have the potential for the most use case are the coins that are being built on platforms or communities that have already been established, right? So BitTorrent has been around for decades. If you've heard of BitTorrent, say I in the chat, right? True says I agree. John says I agree. So I'm glad you guys agree with the gold and the storage of value perspective I have. But when talking about what's a good altcoin, you have to look at its current properties and its current intrinsic value. And with BitTorrent, it's been around for so long and it has a community, and that's why I have confidence in it. As a matter of fact, that actually moves us on to our last article here. And it says here, Tron CEO prepares cryptosphere for launch of BitTorrent's killer app. Set for Monday, July 1st, Tron says the new file system protocol is this distributed web platform powered by blockchain technology. The crypto-based system rewards users with the BitTorrent token in exchange for sharing files and enabling faster downloads. Now, the reason I'm so confident in the BitTorrent token is because people have been seeding downloads for decades that BitTorrent has been around, but they've never been rewarded for. If you guys don't understand how BitTorrent works, see, for the most part, I would assume that you asked me that question, Johnny, because you just don't understand BitTorrent, right? I understand BitTorrent, which is why I have my perspective on it. If you don't understand what you're investing in, then I wouldn't invest in it. So I'm glad you asked that question. By the way, I would never take a paid promotion to promote and shill a coin without actual fundamentals. That's not what we do here at Traders Profit Club. We've been around for 2 years. We're the largest cryptocurrency trading group in the world. Why would I jeopardize our reputation for a measly paid promotion of a coin? No. I'm here to show you guys that there are actual fundamentals that lead to these coins seeing major gains. BNB in 2018 was the one coin I talked about as being the best coin to invest in for 2018 during that whole bear market. And guess what? It was the number one coin of 2018. Why did I assume it was going to be BNB? Because they had such a huge user base and they got it in such a short amount of time that it only made sense that people were going to use the BNB coin in 2018 versus other coins. Does that make sense, Johnny? Hopefully that does. And that's why I was here bullish on BTT. But the other aspect of BTT is Justin Sun is behind it. And obviously he took Tron to amazing press. I mean, he's like the master of hype in my opinion. And you definitely need marketing when you have any company, right? And so him being a master at marketing, him already owning Tron, I just believe that it makes sense for him to allow BTT to also be a very successful project. I don't think he wants to put his eggs in a basket that isn't going to necessarily bring him an ROI. And the other aspect to it is he bought BitTorrent, right? And so if he was going to acquire a company and then allow it to fail, that would be a stupid decision, in my opinion. He's a young, ambitious entrepreneur. A lot of people in China look up to him. Yes, you might not have the best perspective of Justin Sun in the US because he might be just different. But at the end of the day, people in China look up to him as a Mark Zuckerberg. You know, he's a young, wealthy, successful entrepreneur. And that's the case with Justin Sun, and therefore BTT is a very strong project in my opinion. And if you guys are a part of our premium group, you guys got those perfect entry levels here at that 9 Satoshi mark. So if you guys support BTT, like this video. Let's see how many of our viewers are supporters. Oh damn, the likes just started going through the roof. That's awesome. Well, I'm glad you guys support some of the coins that I support. Went from like 12 likes to 20 likes. I love that. So let's see a Facebook question from, what does that say? I can't read that. Here's another YouTube question. Robert, how do you play oversold bounces? I wouldn't play the oversold bounce. I would set the play up before the oversold bounce. I would set that buy entry at a level that I know a wick can possibly occur, so that entry can occur during that wick and that price action, and then it can solidify the profits immediately after the entry. So that's my favorite way of trading those wicks. So with that being said, let's take some altcoin requests from our live audience here, and then we will wrap up this live stream. But I hope you guys got a better understanding of the best way to trade this market right now and what to look for when trading this market. But I definitely want to take some questions here if you guys have any altcoins that you guys want to look at. I know one that a lot of people have been talking about that is a potential long-term hold here is the Harmony coin here, 1 BTC. Let's go ahead and pull 1 BTC up. It's another fairly new coin. You can see it bottomed out here, and already over the last few days, we've seen gains of over 60%, very similar to what we're seeing with the BTT coin. So looking at this, chart does not look too bad. At the end of the day, some of these charts here, you have to understand because they don't have enough history, it's going to be harder to do a technical analysis. Like we can assume certain market structure levels here. We can assume that 213 to 260 here is a consolidation zone. But at the end of the day, for coins like 1 BTC, for BTC, it's more based on fundamentals than it is on technicals. So be very, very aware of that. And I think that's one reason that you want to make sure you're getting your information from legitimate sources, because one of the points that I was trying to make in our last live stream on Friday was the fact that you're going to see all these articles. And for those of you that have seen these articles, there's 2 articles specifically I want to talk about: the Facebook Libra coin, as well as the MoneyGram and Ripple partnership. I don't know if you guys have seen that article. If you have, say I in the chat. But if you guys have kept up with our YouTube channel, we talked about that as news a year ago. It's literally news being repurposed by these cryptocurrency companies in order to create more hype for their coin during certain periods of time. And right now, when Bitcoin is starting to head towards new highs, it's a perfect time for Ripple to say, hey, let's invest in some PR and re-release this article about MoneyGram. But at the end of the day, did Ripple's fundamentals change? No, right? And that's why when you pull up coins like Ripple, you're not necessarily seeing the type of price action that you're seeing with some of these other coins, where instead of us hitting a support and seeing upside momentum from that support, we broke support. Yes, we're seeing a little bit of upside momentum, but now that could lead us to another resistance level. And so these coins from 2017 that did very well are not necessarily seeing as good of price action as we are with some of these newer coins like BTT, One, or even Atom. That's another coin that we've watched in our premium group for some time. So Juan A says, could you take a look at KMD? Let's see if we can find this. This is going to be interesting. Let's see if we can find some good altcoins right now just during this live stream, and then do some analysis here. So see, I don't like the coins that are breaking these support levels and then seeing upward price movement. Now, the one thing I do like about KMD is there is some buy volume coming in, so this does look good, and it didn't necessarily break this too much with the daily. You can see the body of the candle is still above that support, so this actually does look like a pretty good chart. KMD does not look as bad. KMD does have some use case with its atomic swaps, so there is some fundamentals about KMD that make sense as well. But at the end of the day, I think there are some better opportunities than KMD in this market right now. So any other coins that you guys think have major opportunity in 2017? Monster of Puppets says Dent. So Dent has had quite a bit of press. Let's pull up Dent and see what we're looking at here. So with Dent, see, this is a coin that looks really good. I really like the chart here, and I'll tell you exactly why. Major buy volume here down here. So you can see we've got this good amount of buy volume. We dropped down to this support. We didn't break support, right? You can see the body of this wick is still above that support. And we pull up this daily. You can see this MACD. We're starting to see this overstretched on the seller side. And now we can potentially start to see this pull itself back, right? So if I were to set an entry, look at this. This is a perfect opportunity. Thank you so much, Monster Puppets, for mentioning this. I might have to actually send a signal out for Dent here. But we've got a ton of other coins we're watching right now. But look, this is a perfect play here. You can see you can set a stop loss right down here at 10 Satoshis, currently at 14 Satoshis. Perfect entry. We saw this consolidation, and you've got this target here at 25 Satoshis. If you were to enter this trade right now, you have that potential for 72% gains just on this trade alone. You can see good amounts of buy volume on the daily chart. Amazing MACD structure here. RSI completely down to the oversold levels it was here, where we saw that 72% gain. Amazing entry opportunity here for Dent. So great request, and I would send a signal out if we weren't live, because this is actually not a bad risk to reward ratio here. But when it comes to trading, remember, it's all about risk to reward. So when you're putting in that long position, you want to see, okay, what's the risk here? What is the reward here? There's a lot more reward than risk on this trade. And that's why it makes sense. Bruce says BTT is official today. Joseph Smith says, I've watched you since before BTC hit 10K the first time. I have been out of the game since those crazy months. Props to your growth. I'm going to get back on the trading game soon. Thank you so much, Joseph. Absolutely. I've actually been in the Discord every single day. I've never left the Discord. And it doesn't matter if it's a bear market, a bull market. We're always posting signals and we're always getting gains because there's always opportunities in this market. And if there isn't, we've got our Forex and our stock trades to focus on, right? Or our Bitmex trades. So there's always opportunities. That's the great thing about this. Marcus White says Link. So Dent's great. Let's look at Link, BTC. Let's see what we've got here in terms of risk to reward. So something like this, I would not get into. It's already seen its upside, right? Very high risk. MACD does not look good. Ready to prop itself back down on the weekly. Very, very high amounts of volume. Now, a coin like Link, seeing this type of exponential parabolic increase, this is almost always a fundamental reason. So we not only can, not be as confident with our technicals on this chart, but we have to be specific with our fundamentals when looking at a coin like this, because if we're not specific with our fundamentals, then we'll make bad decisions. The only reason we're seeing this exponential increase, this parabolic growth, is because of a fundamental reason. And so this would be a different scenario. So obviously with Link, I haven't done my fundamental research, so I don't want to ever talk about something I'm not fully confident and competent in. But at the end of the day, this is more of a fundamental rise than it is about anything technical. So Johnny says EOS is holding nicely. Let's pull up EOS, Bitcoin. Let's take a look at what we've got going on here with EOS. EOS doesn't look bad, right? We've got this bottom here on the RSI. You've got this support that held itself, right? It's not like Litecoin, Bitcoin, or Ethereum to BTC where it's not holding its support. No, this is holding its support very, very strong, which is great. And so now you have this risk to reward opportunity. If we pull this up here, you've got this amazing risk to reward here with a stop loss set around that 4,715 Satoshi mark. You have that 83% to 16% risk to reward for an amazing swing trade. So that's what we're looking for in this market. The reason I wouldn't send a signal out for this is the volume for me is not necessarily the best. I don't like seeing very high sell volume here with moderate buy volume. I like seeing charts that we pulled up like Dent with high buy volume, low sell volume like this. So that's more of what I'm looking for when looking for alerts. And so I'm not just posting any trade on my premium group. I'm only posting the best of the best because there's just not any room to lose money. At the end of the day, it's all about capital preservation. So there's too many opportunities in this market to rush trades and not let the trades come to you versus you coming to the trades. So Monster Puppet says, thanks. Also, what's happening with XVG? You had great use case of Pornhub usage. No, it actually didn't. So I actually have some personal connections that actually work with Pornhub and work with some of the people there. And I'll tell you right now, from just those inside connections I have, I'll tell you right now, they're not necessarily seeing much use case with XVG. As a matter of fact, I don't know if I can even share this or not because this person might be under an NDA, but in my opinion, and this is my humble but accurate opinion, you'll see, companies like quote unquote Pornhub, take on a coin like XVG because of marketing. XVG pays them and says, hey, could you market this coin for me by accepting it on your website? Yes, we can. Okay, cool. Now we accept XVG. Does that mean it's being used? Not necessarily. So I don't know where you got that information, but typically people are getting the information from unreliable sources. And I think that's a sad thing in this market. And that's why I put myself in a position to work hard. I'm advising 10 plus blockchain companies, and I do that not just because I want to advise companies for no reason. No, it's because I want to be behind the scenes and get the truth, not the press. And so be very careful with where you get your information, because if you get it from the wrong place, then you're not necessarily for me, I was live streaming every single night on YouTube last year, and we did that until the bull market started to see a little bit of a collapse. And from there I traveled all around the world, spoke alongside billionaires in this market, spoke alongside multi-millionaires in this market, people that are actually, putting their companies to use, the founder of some of the biggest coins. And I started advising 10 plus blockchain companies, in that period of time, I learned so much about this market. I learned about all of the corruption. I learned about all of the deception. I learned about all of the positives. I learned about all the fundamentals, what to look for, what investors are looking for. So in that time period, I've been able to now bring back to you guys a lot more of a solid perspective of this market. And so if you guys appreciate that, hit the like button, and we're going to wrap this live stream up. I know we've taken quite a few questions here, and we've found some pretty good trade opportunities here, but I'm going to get back on the Discord group, guys. We had over 50% gains overnight here with our trade signals. If you guys are not getting them, the link is in the description below. It doesn't hurt to try. It's risk-free, and I highly recommend you guys get engaged in our community because I'm going to be there in the chat. So I appreciate all of you guys for tuning in, and until our next video on Wednesday, like the video if you guys enjoyed this. And we also have an iTunes podcast. The link is in the description below. If you guys listen to podcasts, you guys can listen to this on a podcast every single week. So make sure to get on the podcast if you guys have your podcast app on your iTunes. We also are on Spotify and all of those other platforms. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed this live stream. If you did, say yes in the chat, and we will be wrapping this baby up. But I hope this gave you a good understanding of the 2019 bull market, the different type of investors in this market, and the top ways to trade this market. So thank you so much for tuning in. Juan, Kareem, 55 miles per hour, and everyone else. And with that being said, TPC family, Naeem, I am out.